Welcome back to the channel, Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man. Today we're going to be working on Adeptus Custodes commission. We're going to do a little bit of conversion work and some magnetization as well. So what I'm going to do here is I've got some of the Adeptus Custodes jet bikes, and what we're going to do is we're going to build 3 of them regular, just your regular Vertus Praetors jet bikes. And then we're going to do one conversion on one of them for a shield captain on like the custom jet bike. So we're going to add like some extra little flair to it so it stands out. So we're going to have 4 total. One's going to be the shield captain. And then we're going to magnetize all the bases right here so that like each one is magnetized to his base and easily could be like taken apart for transport. And then we're also going to go through and magnetize like the spear arms themselves to the riders, so again it could be taken off for easy transport. So what we got to do to get started is just go through and cut everything out. And you know, it's important, if you're not familiar with these kits, that you follow the instructions for this part. You just don't glue the actual bases to the model, and don't glue the arms right here, and anything else you want to keep separate for paint. So I'm going to go ahead and just clip everything out, and we'll come back shortly. Now you can take the sub-assembly as far as you want, but for our purposes, we just basically want like our torso, and then we want like our actual like arm assembled all the way from the spear to the shoulder. And then what we're looking to do is, some of them already have like a little like preset hole kind of going on in there. We just want to make sure we're using the right size drill bit, and we're just going to drill at a 90-degree angle, like basically with the edge that it would mount to, and we just want to drill out that hole a little bigger until it's big enough to accommodate you know, 1 or 2 magnets, depending on how big you want it to go. And that's all we're doing. We're just drilling out that hole a little bit bigger. And you know, like I said, if it already has that guide hole in there, you're just going straight with the guide, and you're basically just going right along with it. And it doesn't take much time at all if you just plan it out a little bit. And then when you go to play, you know, the actual guys, and go to transport them and everything, it's so much easier. Because most people that's owned some Adeptus Custodes jet bikes before, if they're not magnetized, the arms break off a lot when they're being transported, and also the bases break off a lot as well. So, and now here what we're looking to do is just put our hole right in the center of the torso, right where the arm's going to mount to it. So keep in mind it's a model, so you don't need to be super aggressive. It's going to go through like nice and quick and nice and easy. So we just want to do all these up and just make sure we center it, so that when the arm sits in there, you know, if it's centered, it's going to sit in the correct place. If it's not centered, or it's at like some kind of like extreme angle, it's not going to sit correctly. Like, you want all the surfaces to be like flush together, basically. Alright, and that's all 4 of those drilled out now. We're just going to go through basically, and you know, we're going to take our magnets now that we have, and we're just going to put them into the holes. And what we need to focus on is just making sure all the magnets are going in the correct direction. Just pushing it down in there until it's flush. And then once that's flush with the hole there, now we can just take, you know, our other accessory that we're going to hook to it, in this case our spear arm, and we can just see which way the magnet goes on there. And then we want to take one magnet off, and we'll leave that magnet attached onto the little hole where this spear arm is going to go. And now there's already glue on the spear arm. We can just push him right on there, and then that's going to be mounted up, and that's solid right there. That's not going anywhere. And then we're just going to go through and do that for each one of them. But what we want to do is just make sure that we do them in the same way. So we're just going to use that same torso. Put a little glue on our next one. And we're just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to line our magnet up. Line our magnet up on the hole there. And then that's just going to make sure that when we stick these in, we stick them in the right way. The important part of doing that is just to make sure that when you go to use each guy, like the arms are fully interchangeable, because you don't want to have to worry about like if a specific arm goes on a specific guy, or maybe you do want to worry about that, in which case that's cool too, but you know, it'll be intentional. It won't just be like you fiddling around trying to put your models together before you can even play a game. You know, because the idea is to like simplify things, keep them from breaking. You don't want to overcomplicate everything. So if you just do everything like in your army magnetized the same way, you can like swap heads and arms and whatever you want with all your different stuff. And this is our last one, and then we'll do the rest of the torsos. And again, we're just going to pop one little magnet off. We just let our little torso put it in the right spot, and then we can just boom, line it right up there. You can either get it all the way attached or just get it started. I just don't want to mess with how I have that one stuck in like at the perfect depth in there. I don't want it to go in too deep. But yeah, that's it. And you can see it's a nice, strong connection. Like they're not going anywhere. And now all we're going to do for the other ones is we're just going to do the opposite we've been doing. We're just going to take one of the arms we did, and we're just going to hook it on there, and then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to push the arm, line it up and push the arm in. And then once we get the magnet started like that, we're just going to use a tool to push it in and get it exactly where we want. And just make sure it gets like a nice flush connection, because then the arm's always going to go on exactly how you want. And if you feel like you want the connection to be stronger too, you can take a second magnet and put it on there, and then just push that one in right over top of it. And now you've got two magnets in there. It's twice as strong, so you'll get like a much stronger connection with everything. And you don't have to do that. That's optional, and it depends what size magnets you have, if that's even like necessary or an issue. You might have two smaller magnets and need to use like more than two magnets, but I mean ideally you should just get like the right size magnets. But so you see I just put two on there now, and then you know obviously with how deep the body is, it's no problem to stick two magnets down in there, and then you just make sure that you have that extra strength. Which for these guys, the only reason I like to do two is the spears are so long. Anybody that knows about like basically like, you know, general like leverage principles, like the spear, the longer it is, like when somebody bumps it, it's going to be more likely like to pull off or fall off or anything like that. As where if it was just the arm and no spear on it, it's going to just like move around. But you know, if you had just one magnet in there, it might like actually fall off. And again, that's just full judgment call. It's probably overkill. I overkill everything. I'd rather have it be done a little on the overkill side than you know, think back later and think, oh, I should have just done this. I should have just put one more magnet. Should have just, you know, whatever it is. Took a little more time in the early stages. It's all about like that preparation for the long game. So then there you have it. We basically just went through and did all of our different arms. And you see how long it took there too. You know, it didn't take too long to do. And then now when we go to transport these guys in the future, it's going to be so much easier. And then also, you know, you can change between poses for them as well. Have them like with the spear, you know, up in the air versus like down at their side. But there we have it. That's the magnetization of the arms. And then we can prep up our flight stands and build our bikes, and then we can magnetize those as well. Just going to switch gears here a little bit to our larger size magnets. So we're going to get our drill bit ready right here. And we just did a little pre-assembly on the bikes, just the main chassis, two pieces together. And all we're going to do is just make that hole on the bottom bigger to fit the specific size magnets that we're using in this case. And if you want to use the specific magnets I do in this video, all of the information is in the description. And if it's not, or you have a question or anything, you can always reach out to me. So we're just going to keep it at a 90-degree angle, hold the bike together. We did just glue it like recently, but it is dry. But we just want to hold it at an exact 90-degree angle and then drill straight in so that the magnet is sitting correctly. And it is a model, so just take it easy, take it slow, and don't be too aggressive or too like strong pushing on it or anything. But we don't need to go like all the way in the bike. We just want to make sure there's enough room for like one or two of our magnets to fit in that hole. Basically just going to go in as deep as the hole was like already in there, you know, maybe just a little bit deeper, whatever we need to accommodate. But you don't need to like go so crazy that you're like coming out the top or anything. And if it does kind of pop open a little bit, you know, make sure you just re-glue that spot a little, but make sure that you like squish it together and that it's drilled out completely, or else once you put that magnet in that one that kind of popped open, if you didn't get it exactly like drilled all the way out, you're gonna have trouble because you know, the magnet's gonna like stop it from closing all the way once you do get it in. So we just want to go back on that one that kind of popped open and make sure. Oh, and you look, like I said, I did just glue them, so just gonna put a tiny bit extra glue on them. And then once we got all of them set up however we want, in this case I'm gonna be putting two magnets in each one of the bikes. So we're just gonna take oops. Be careful when you're doing all this too, if you have like razor blade or whatever tool you're using. We're just going to take two of our magnets there, and we're just going to put them right down in the hole. So we just want to get a little glue down in there. Try to get it around like the whole way around. And then we're just going to push in two of our magnets flush. And then once we got them just flush right in that hole, you know, that's actually it. That's it for magnetizing it. So we're just going to go through and do all four of them just like that. Alright, and then all we're going to do for this next step, we're just going to take the little flying stand and we're just going to cut the tip off of it. And we want to try to cut it as flat as we can. We may have to clean it up because we need it to be like a completely flat surface. And we want it to be a 90-degree angle as best we can. So you gotta just kind of eyeball it until it's right, because we need a real flat surface for the magnet to want to mount to. And then once we get that flattened out real nice, we're just gonna put a dab of super glue on there. We're gonna take a magnet and put it onto one of our bikes so we can see which way to go. And then we're just gonna switch it over and glue it onto the base. And you just have to hold it for a minute, or if you have like some fast set for super glue. But there, once we have it glued like that, we can just set it in our base for now. And for this one, we're going to be doing like textured bases, but I just have them magnetized and set up like that. So now, essentially, when we're ready to go, this one's only been gluing for a minute, but we can just pop the bike right on.